Let's talk about family meals for a moment here. You can take a second and go on Google and just type in stats on family meals or are family meals beneficial, and you can find numerous studies of the benefit it has on your children. From lower depression and lower anxiety, it's better for the brain. They found those students to do better in school. Their grades were higher. The mental health is amazing for those who have family meals together. So the importance of it is so crucial, and we live in a society that is running around so much in such a fast pace that it's hard to sit down and actually have a meal together. Everything's on the go, everything's getting it here and trying to go there, or if we even do sit down to have it at home, it's like one person eats in their room and this person's watching TV. And so the importance of having a family meal together is crucial for the development of your child and for just the unity of your family. I'll tell you, for my family, we have 5 kids, and now with my oldest being almost 17, youngest being 8, I love those times together. That we'll sit now and talk sometimes for 30, 40 minutes and have a meal and ask how things are going. And a lot of it was because of things we started way back when they were a kid that I'll share some thoughts on. But even if you haven't started that, it might take a little bit more time, but that time for us as a family is so very important. Now, I'm not saying we do that 7 days a week. It doesn't. It doesn't happen. We have kids are working and sports and all that. I get that. Now, when they were little, I'd say most suppers were together. 5, 6, and sometimes all 7 days a week did take place. And as they got older and things started to come, it got less. But I would say we strive to have at least 2 to 3 meals together as a family each week, even with my kids now working in the busyness of life. And so let me give you just a couple things on family meals that maybe can help. And yes, if you have little kids, then I think you're ahead of the game. You can start this now to, yes, as you have older kids, you can still work this in. I think consistency is the first thing that's really important. When my kids were little, we didn't last 40 to 45 minutes at the table. That was not it at all. A lot of times it was 5, 10 minutes they'd eat and they'd be done, but at least was a time that we sat together, we prayed together, we sat around, and they ate and we got up. And there was a consistency that was there. And so start with just the consistency that this is what's going to happen. You can't really force a lot of conversation. You can't force to sit there for 45 minutes, but you can say, hey, we are going to have this meal together. And I didn't let them, take their food back to the room or it was, no, we're going to sit down and we're going to eat together. And so consistency is the first thing. So even if the meal sometimes is 10 kids, there's 10 spills by one kid and 3 spills by this kid, and this kid doesn't like it. And sometimes it's just like, but it's still the consistency, and know that you are doing what I think is right for them, for their health, for their mental health, for their life as it progresses even on. And so have that time together. You might not see it at the end. I'm seeing some of the benefits now after doing it for almost 17 years with my oldest son and all the other kids under that. But I'm seeing the benefits now of something that we really started when Haddon was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. So consistency. The next thing I would say is have some type of guidelines for sitting at the table. I don't call them rules, but just like we don't take the phone to the table. Phones are off limits when we sit at the table. We don't check our emails. We don't check our text. We put them away. A lot of times they need to put them out of the room, or if they hear the ding, they're going to want to look at it. And so we just kind of put that away. We don't respond back to those things. I'll be honest, the other day I was texting with somebody and he responded back to me, and I grabbed my phone, looked at it, and my family called me out on it. You can't do that, Jeremiah. Or Dad, you can't do that. This is mealtime. And so get rid of the phone. Have that just be, hey, when we sit down here, we're talking to the people in front of us, not people on our phone. And then don't have the TV on either. So all electronics, get them off and set around the table. The next thing I'd say is ask questions. Now, as a parent, you might have to do this the most, and they're probably not going to start it, and so you have to ask questions. What are some questions you can ask? We used to have a stack of questions that someone gave us that you can ask at a family mealtime, and you can find those online. You can find different things on the internet, but get some of those. And if I didn't have a question to ask, I would just pull one of those. Or sometimes I would just ask the same question, like, what was the best thing that happened to you today? What was the worst thing that happened to you today? And everybody had to go around and had to say it. After church on Sunday, is the question that we always ask is, what'd you learn today? What was the Bible story on? And I'll tell you, my kids, especially my 8-year-old, he knows, he's ready, because he's been doing that for 3 or 4 years now. That if I forget or if I'm still eating, he's like, Dad, let me tell you what's going on at church, what I learned at church. And so the consistency and the asking of questions, now he's jumping on that. And so you might have to have 2 or 3 questions that you're ready to ask. That could be the same questions. It could be a question that you have already there, or it's just, someone tell me how your day was. And we don't let the answer be like, fine, it was okay. No, you gotta give me a sentence. You gotta tell me something about it. Have some type of conversation that goes, so ask questions. And then lastly, just clean up together. I think there can be importance of just staying, not just, oh, see you, Mom, see you, Dad, and we're gone. But now, hey, let's clean up. Let's clear the table. Who's going to help with dishes and clean up? Because we've found that as we've done that together, there's more conversation that has arrived. Yeah, sometimes they're ready to go do stuff, but we've found more conversation. Sometimes we'll sit in the kitchen and continue to talk. Again, didn't happen all the time, especially at the beginning, it didn't. But now, after years of doing it, I'm starting to see some benefit in the blessing of it. So my encouragement to you, if you have younger kids, then start. The consistency. It might only be 5-10 minutes, and maybe you ask one question as they start to get 3, 4, 5, and you have those questions that are there. But I really believe if you start, you'll see the benefit. If you have kids 10 under, I think it's a lot easier to start that. Kids 10 over, it might take a little bit more work. They'll be like, why are we doing this? Why can't we have our phone? But share some importance and work on maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Say, hey, no, these are the days that we are going to have a family meal together and sit down, and I want to ask some of these questions. So just some thoughts on family meals that I really believe would be beneficial to your children, be beneficial to life, and as a parent, I believe they can get to a place eventually. I know sometimes as they're younger it's hard, but eventually you can get to a place of joy where you can sit around and have those conversations with your kids even when they get older. So hope that helps. And if you want more of these, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel and check out some more on the channel.